My husband ostentatiously flaunted his New Year's Eve with his one true love on Instagram, posting a cozy photo of a family of 3. A few hours later, he personally pushed me into a scalding hot oil pot, causing me to have a second miscarriage and potentially become infertile for life, all to help his one true love, who almost slipped. He thought forcing me to divorce him was my end, but little did he know that it was the beginning of my revenge and rebirth. And his retribution was already sizzling in the oil pot of fate. The light from my phone screen stung my eyes, more so than the New Year's Eve fireworks outside the window. It was a carefully taken photo, posted on Ethan's Instagram page. A lavish dinner, flickering candlelight, and he and Sophia, along with Sophia's daughter Mia, smiled like a real family. The caption read, "New Year's Eve bliss with my loves. #family. Family. This word was like a poisoned ice pick, accurately stabbing into the softest part of my heart. Next, Sophia's account was also updated, with the same photo, but from a slightly different angle, further highlighting the affectionate look in Ethan's eyes as he looked at her. Her caption was even more direct. "The perfect start to the year with my man and my little angel. Feeling blessed. My man. My little angel. I am Ethan's legal wife, Ava. Our home is now so desolate that only the echoes of the walls remain. On the table is the dinner I busied myself with all afternoon. 4 dishes and a soup, all his favorites in the past. But now, they are slowly getting cold like my heart." Suddenly, the phone vibrated abruptly, and Ethan's name jumped on the screen. I took a deep breath, trying to suppress the lump in my throat, and answered, "Ava, what do you mean?" Ethan's voice came through the phone, with impatience and a reproachful tone, as if I were the one who had done something wrong. What do you mean?" My voice was dry. "Didn't you see the post Sophia made? There's a bunch of people asking her if she's a mistress. Can you be a little understanding and not make things worse for her at a time like this?" His tone was confident, as if protecting another woman from criticism was my responsibility. I almost laughed out of anger. Who is it that blatantly posted a family of 3 on a public platform? Who gave others the reason to gossip? "Ethan, where are you right now?" I asked, my voice trembling without me even realizing it. "Do I need to report to you where I am?" He retorted impatiently, followed by Sophia's weak sobs in the background. "Ethan, it's okay. Don't blame Ava. Maybe she didn't mean to. It's all my fault. I shouldn't have posted that photo. Look at you." Ethan's anger was instantly ignited. "Sophia is so kind and considerate of you in every way. And what about you? Can't you just let her have some peace during the holidays? Are you just so jealous of our happiness? Kind, considerate of me?" I felt like I'd heard the biggest joke of the century. That woman's level of manipulation is outrageous. Always the victim, always pitiful and vulnerable, she can always easily provoke Ethan's anger towards me and his desire to protect her. "Ethan," I interrupted him, "are you coming back tonight?" "What do you mean go back? Sophia is feeling unwell because of you, and I have to stay with her. You can stay home and reflect on your actions." Beep, beep, beep. The phone was hung up mercilessly. I held the cold phone, looking at the gradually cooling food on the table, and tears finally burst forth. Not because of his scolding, but because of the clear and unmistakable not coming back. This is our 3rd New Year's Eve since we got married, and for the 3rd year in a row, he hasn't been with me. A wave of nausea churned in my stomach, but I forced myself to pick up the chopsticks. The dishes were already cold, and the congealed grease stuck to the sides of the plate, just like the state of my marriage at this moment. I chewed mechanically, the salty taste of tears mixed in, swallowing this bone-deep loneliness and humiliation bite by bite. As the New Year's bells rang, outside the window were brilliant fireworks and cheers, but inside the house was just me, facing a table of cold food, silently crying. On the morning of the first day of the Lunar New Year, sunlight shone through the gaps in the curtains. I hadn't slept all night, and my eyes were sore and swollen. Ethan was not on the sofa in the living room, and his car was not downstairs either. He really did spend the night at Sophia's house. This realization was like a dull knife, slowly cutting into my already riddled heart. My thoughts drifted uncontrollably back to more than 2 years ago. At that time, I was pregnant for the first time, and it was the early stages of pregnancy, with severe reactions. That day, I had unbearable abdominal pain and called him, but he said that Sophia had acute appendicitis and he had to take her to the hospital first. I begged him bitterly, but he said I was making a fuss and that Sophia had no one around her and was more pitiful. By the time he finally finished dealing with Sophia's affairs and remembered his fussy wife, 3 hours had passed. I went to the hospital for an examination, and the doctor told me that I had missed the best time to save the pregnancy, and the child was gone. On the operating table, cold instruments scraped across my body, taking away my first child, and also taking away my initial trust and reliance on Ethan. I lay in the hospital bed, and he held my hand, apologized, repented, and vowed never to do it again. He said he just felt sorry for Sophia being alone, and meant nothing else. I believed it. Or rather, I chose to believe it, because I still loved him, and still had hope for our marriage. But reality slapped me in the face time and time again. His so-called pitiable Sophia was like an unremovable thorn, lying between us. He spent more and more time with her, always with high-sounding reasons. She was sick, her daughter Mia missed him, she encountered difficulties at work. Each time, it was at the cost of sacrificing my feelings, immersed in painful memories. The sound of a key opening the door came from the entrance. Ethan was back. He looked a little tired, but his spirits were okay. He carried a faint scent of perfume, not my brand. He was holding a takeout box. / you're awake? / his tone was flat, as if the argument and overnight absence last night had never happened. I didn't answer, just looked at him. He put the takeout box on the dining table, right next to my cold food. Here, Sophia made it. She was afraid of wasting it, so she brought it back for you to try. I looked at the box, which contained clearly leftover dishes, some chicken pieces, a few wilted vegetables, and half a portion of fried rice. It was the remains of their feast, celebrating the New Year last night. What do you mean? My voice was icy. It's nothing special, just brought it back for you to eat. He opened the box, and a mixed aroma of food wafted out. It tastes good. Sophia's cooking is getting better and better. He actually wants me to eat what they left over? A kind of indescribable disgust and anger surged into my heart. I won't eat it. Ethan frowned, and displeasure appeared on his face. Ava, what tantrum are you throwing now? Is it not good to bring you food? Don't be ungrateful. I won't eat what others have left over, especially what they have left over. I said, word by word, looking directly at him. What do you mean leftovers? Sophia specifically packed this for me to bring back to you. He raised his voice, trying to confuse the issue. Can you stop trying to pick a fight? Really? I sneered and pointed to the dishes I had made. Then what about these dishes I made? Did you even see them? This is our family's New Year's Eve dinner. Ethan's gaze swept over the dishes I had made, the same dishes he used to praise and eat completely clean every time. His expression changed slightly, and his tone seemed a little softer. You made these too? Yes, I made them, waiting for you to come back and eat together. Too bad you didn't come back. He was momentarily speechless, his eyes flickering, but that hint of guilt vanished in an instant. All right, what's done is done. Just as well, I'll take this stuff Sophia packed to the office for lunch, to avoid waste. He actually planned to take Sophia's leftovers to the office, while completely disregarding the dishes I carefully prepared. The ones he loves to eat? My heart sank completely, not cold but dead. So in his heart, I and my efforts are not even worth the leftovers they ate. Before I could react, the doorbell rang. Ethan almost immediately went to open the door, a gentle smile on his face that I had never seen before. Standing outside the door were Sophia and her daughter Mia. Sophia was wearing a beige down jacket that made her look particularly petite, with just the right amount of apology and tenderness on her face. Ethan, Mia said she misses you, so I brought her over to see you. Ava, am I disturbing you? She acted naturally and familiarly, as if this were her home. As soon as Mia saw Ethan, she sweetly called out Uncle Ethan, and threw herself into his arms. Ethan smiled, picked her up, and affectionately rubbed his stubble against her cheek, making Mia giggle. The scene was harmoniously dazzling. Ava, about yesterday, I'm sorry. Sophia walked up to me, her eyes sincere and her tone earnest. I shouldn't have posted that photo and made you misunderstand. Ethan and I are really just friends. He sees that it's not easy for me to raise a child alone, so he takes care of us a little more. Same old story. I looked at her without saying a word. Seeing that I was unmoved, Sophia's eyes turned red, and she actually knelt down in front of me. Ava, please, don't be angry with Ethan. It's all my fault. Blame me if you have to. As long as you're happy, I'll do anything. She was crying, as if she had suffered a great injustice. Mia was also frightened, hugging Ethan's neck, and looking at me timidly. Ethan immediately put Mia down, helped Sophia up and roared at me. Ava, haven't you had enough? Sophia has knelt down and apologized to you. What else do you want? Do you have to force her to die to be satisfied? I stood there, my whole body ice cold. Force her to die? Who exactly is forcing whom? This scene is so familiar. Every time there is a conflict between us because of Sophia, she can always use this method to put herself in the position of the victim, shift the focus of all the contradictions to me, and turn me into that vicious, relentless madwoman. Ethan. I looked at him, my voice frighteningly calm. You let her up, or you both get out. You. Ethan was so angry that his face turned blue. He pointed at me and said, You are simply unreasonable. He stopped looking at me and turned to softly comfort Sophia. Okay, don't cry, it's okay, I'm here. Ignore her, let's go sit in the living room. He put his arm around the still sobbing Sophia, took Mia's hand, walked past me, and headed for the sofa in the living room, looking every bit like a family of three, while I became the unwanted intruder in this house. In the time that followed, I was like a transparent person. Ethan played games with Mia, while Sophia virtuously offered to help tidy up in the kitchen, but Ethan stopped her and told her to rest. They chatted and laughed as if no one else was there, discussing Mia's funny stories, and planning to go to the nearby winter carnival in the afternoon. Ava, you come too, Ethan said in a commanding tone, as if suddenly remembering my existence. I'm not going. I refused. I don't want to participate in this disgusting performance. No, you have to go. Ethan's attitude became tough. Don't stay at home all day thinking wildly, go out and relax. Besides, it's more lively with more people. I know he doesn't care about me. He wants to play the role of a considerate husband in front of Sophia. Or he wants me to witness their happiness with my own eyes, so that I will give up? I didn't want to go, but Ethan's attitude left no room for doubt. He even came over and half forced me to get up. Go change your clothes quickly. Unable to resist, and perhaps influenced by that pathetic lingering sense of being a wife deep down, I finally changed my clothes and went out with them. Ethan's car is a 5-seater SUV. He naturally opened the front passenger door, and Sophia also sat in it extremely naturally. Mia was in the back row in her car seat. I had no choice but to sit next to Mia. In the rearview mirror, I could see Ethan and Sophia smiling at each other and talking softly. The sunlight shone through the car window on Sophia's face, which was adorned with exquisite makeup, and she looked radiant. As for me, I just felt a suffocating tightness in my chest. The winter carnival was crowded, and the weather was very cold. The north wind was like a knife, scraping against my face. I was wearing a woolen hat that I knitted myself last Christmas, and it was very warm. Sophia must have been wearing too little. She was shivering from the cold, constantly rubbing her hands. It's so cold, she said in a delicate voice towards Ethan. Ethan immediately stopped and frowned at her. Why are you wearing so little? As he spoke, his gaze fell on my head. The next second, without warning, he reached out and roughly pulled off my hat. The movement was so quick, and the force so strong that it even tore out a few strands of my hair, and a sharp pain shot through my scalp. What are you doing? I covered my head in astonishment. Ethan didn't even look at me, and handed my hat directly to Sophia. Wear this for now. Sophia accepted it reluctantly, with a shy and grateful smile on her face. Thank you, Ethan, but... Sister Ava. It's okay, she's healthy and not afraid of the cold, Ethan said casually, as if the hat was never mine to begin with. My hat was snatched by him, and given to another woman, and the few strands of hair that were pulled out fell on the slushy ground at our feet. As Ethan turned, he stepped on them, grinding them into the dirt. At that moment, I felt like I had been struck hard by something. Not my body, but my dignity. He not only didn't love me, He didn't even respect me. In his eyes, I probably wasn't even someone with independent feelings. People were coming and going around us, noisy and chaotic, but no one noticed this brief scene. But I felt that the eyes of the whole world were focused on me, mocking my embarrassment and misery. My heart was freezing cold, and my body began to tremble uncontrollably, not because of the cold, but because of utter despair and anger. Just then, there was a commotion in the crowd. Sophia suddenly exclaimed and fell towards a snack stall selling fried dough sticks. On that stall, a large pot was heating up boiling hot oil. "Be careful." Ethan reacted quickly and reached out to pull Sophia. I happened to be standing between Ethan and Sophia. He was so eager to save her that he used too much force, and the huge impact of his body slammed into my side and back. I was completely unprepared, and like a kite with a broken string, I lunged straight towards the sizzling pot of hot oil. A heart-wrenching, excruciating pain instantly swept through my right arm and side. Scalding hot oil splashed out, burning my skin, making a terrible sizzle sound. I could even smell the burning flesh. After the sharp pain, a fierce, familiar feeling of dragging pain came from my lower abdomen, more intense and desperate than the last miscarriage. My vision went black, and I lost consciousness. Waking up again, I was in a hospital bed. My right arm and side were wrapped in thick bandages, and the burning pain constantly reminded me of everything that had just happened. The air was filled with the smell of disinfectant. A nurse was changing my dressing. Seeing that I was awake, she said with sympathy / "You're awake? How do you feel?" "The doctor said you have a significant area of burns. It's a deep second-degree burn, and it may leave scars. Also, you're pregnant. Did you know that yourself / Pregnant. I was stunned. / About 6 weeks along. / The nurse sighed. / Unfortunately, because of this accident, the child couldn't be saved. And the doctor said that this miscarriage caused a lot of damage to your uterus, plus you have a history of miscarriages. It may be difficult for you to get pregnant again in the future. / It's hard to get pregnant again, possibly permanently infertile. These words hit my heart like a hammer. The first child was lost because he went to take care of Sophia. The second child was lost because he wanted to support Sophia. And it cost me my right to be a mother. I stared blankly at the ceiling, tears silently streaming down. Not sadness, but a complete stillness. There is no greater sorrow than a dead heart. This is what it feels like. Enough. Really enough. This disgusting marriage, this one-sided love, this man who brings me endless pain, it should all end. I close my eyes, feeling the dual pain in my body and heart. The pain makes me extremely awake. Divorce. That was my only thought at that moment. I don't know how long it had been, but the door to the hospital room was pushed open, and Ethan walked in. He looked a little anxious, but not for me. "Ava, how are you?" he asked symbolically, but his eyes couldn't help but glance at his phone. I looked at him without saying a word. His phone rang, and he answered it immediately, his tone instantly softening. "Hello, Sophia? What? You were scared. Don't be afraid, don't be afraid, I'll be right there. Okay, you be a good girl and wait for me at home." Hanging up the phone, he turned to me with a hint of apology on his face, but more of an undeniable decision. "Ava, Sophia was just frightened, and I have to go see her now. The doctor said your condition is stable, so you rest first, and I'll come see you later." He didn't even wait for me to answer before hurriedly turning and leaving the ward. I lay in the hospital bed, watching his disappearing back, my heart numb. While I was seriously injured, miscarried again, and might lose the ability to be a mother forever, his white moonlight was just frightened, and he immediately abandoned me and rushed to her. "Is there anything else you don't understand?" I forced out a desolate smile. "Well, this complete abandonment allows me to make up my mind without any hesitation." Ethan's so-called, "I'll come see you later," happened the next day in the afternoon. He came in carrying a thermos bucket, with a formulaic concern on his face. "Feeling better? This is soup I had the housekeeper make for Sophia, and I brought you a serving as well." He put the thermos bucket on the bedside table. By the way, in his heart, I will always be ranked after Sophia. Even his concern is by the way. / "No need, thank you. / My tone was calm, I didn't even look at him. He seemed a little dissatisfied with my indifference and frowned / Ava, I know you feel uncomfortable, but yesterday was really an accident. Sophia didn't do it on purpose, and she is also very self-blaming. / Is that so? / I finally looked at him, my eyes devoid of any warmth. / Then am I doing this on purpose? Did I deliberately bump into the hot oil pot? Deliberately lose the child? Deliberately make myself possibly unable to give birth again? / My questioning left him speechless, a hint of guilty conscience flashing across his face, almost imperceptible. That's not what I meant. In any case, take good care of yourself and don't let your imagination run wild. He didn't stay long before leaving, probably anxious to go back and accompany his remorseful white moonlight. I didn't even glance at the soup he brought incidentally, and had the caregiver dispose of it directly. The days in the hospital were unusually peaceful. Apart from the nurses and caregiver, no one else came to bother me. I contacted my best friend Chloe and told her I had decided to get divorced. Chloe was silent on the other end of the phone for a long time, and finally only said, Ava, whatever decision you make, I support you. A week later, the doctor informed me that I could be discharged. I sent Ethan a message to let him know the discharge time. He replied with an okay. On the day I was discharged from the hospital, Chloe helped me with the formalities. Ethan's car was parked at the hospital entrance. He helped me put my simple luggage into the trunk, then got into the driver's seat and started the car. We hadn't driven far from the hospital parking lot when his phone rang again. It was Sophia. Hello, darling. Yes, I just picked up Ava from the hospital. What? You want to come and find me? Okay, then come directly to the parking lot and wait for me. I'll drop Ava off first, and then come over. Yes, love you. He hung up the phone with a sweet smile on his face, completely immersed in his call with Sophia. The car stopped in a corner of the parking lot. Wait for me, I'm going to the restroom, Ethan said, unbuckling his seatbelt and getting out of the car. I sat in the passenger seat, watching his back disappear into the parking lot building. 10 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour. He didn't come back. I frowned, took out my phone to call him, but saw that his car key was still in the car. I pushed open the car door and wanted to get out to find him, but I saw from a distance that near the other end of the parking lot exit, Ethan was standing with Sophia. The two seemed to be arguing about something, and then Sophia tiptoed and kissed Ethan. Ethan smiled and hugged her, and the two got into a taxi and drove away. He forgot about me. To see Sophia, he forgot about me, his wife who had just been discharged from the hospital and had difficulty moving, like a piece of luggage in the empty, cold parking lot. At that moment, I couldn't even feel anger, only boundless absurdity and desolation. I took a taxi home myself. I opened the door with the spare key, and the scene before me struck me like a bolt of lightning. The master bedroom that originally belonged to Ethan and me was now piled with Sophia and Mia's things. Pink princess dresses hung outside the closet. There were cosmetics on the dressing table that didn't belong to me, and there was even a photo of Sophia and Mia on the bedside table. Where are my things? I rushed to the utility room next door, pushed the door open, and my clothes, shoes, books, and even some personal belongings were piled in the corner like garbage, covered in dust. Cuckoo takes over the nest. They didn't even wait for me to officially leave before they couldn't wait to erase the traces of my existence. I stood at the door of the storage room, looking at everything in front of me, trembling with anger. A huge wave of anger and disgust surged in my chest. Enough. Really enough. I took out my phone and called Chloe directly / Chloe, are you free now? Come pick me up, I'm moving out. Immediately. Right now / Chloe arrived quickly. When she saw the scene in the house, she almost exploded with anger on the spot, but she calmed down first and helped me pack the necessities that I could take with me. Just as we were carrying our 2 suitcases, ready to leave, Ethan came back. He was stunned for a moment when he saw me, Chloe, and the suitcases at our feet, and then his face darkened. Ava, what are you doing? As you can see, moving out. I replied calmly, without a trace of emotion in my voice. Ethan's eyes swept over us, over the 2 glaring suitcases, and then to the open door of the master bedroom, where Sophia and her daughter's belongings were clearly visible. A hint of panic flashed across his face, quickly replaced by anger. Ava, stop it. I know you're angry, but you can't just leave without a word. Let's talk. There's nothing to talk about, Ethan, I said, looking at him. The man I once loved so deeply now just seemed strange and ridiculous. When you left me in the parking lot, let your dream girl move into my bedroom, and threw my things into the storage room, we already had nothing to talk about. Chloe stood in front of me, looking at Ethan coldly. Ethan, get out of the way. Ava needs rest now, not to waste time with you here. This is our family matter. It's none of your business. Ethan tried to get around Chloe. It might have been before, but it isn't now. I pulled Chloe back and faced Ethan directly. I want a divorce. I said these 3 words clearly and firmly. Ethan's expression froze, as if he was truly hearing what I was saying for the first time. /divorce? Ava, don't be impulsive. I know I was wrong. I apologize to you. Don't leave. Let's make things work. Okay, / make things work. / I repeated these 3 words, feeling incredibly ironic. / how do we make things work? Let you continue to perform your deep and significant relationship with Sophia in front of me? Or wait for the next time you push me into some dangerous place for her? Ethan, I've had enough. Let me go. And let yourself go too. / He looked at my resolute eyes, knowing I wasn't joking. The pleading on his face slowly faded, replaced by a sense of anger and embarrassment after being exposed. Ava, don't regret this. His voice was threatening. Leave me, and you are nothing. Do you think you can find someone better than me? Don't dream. Whether I regret it or not is none of your concern. I stopped looking at him and pulled Chloe. Let's go. We bypassed him and walked towards the door. He didn't stop us again, just stood there, watching our backs with a gloomy look. The moment I closed the door, I seemed to hear his suppressed roar and the sound of things being smashed through the door panel. Sitting in Chloe's car, I looked at the fleeting street scene outside the window, not crying, just feeling unprecedentedly tired, but also a sense of relief after liberation. Go to my place, stay there for now, Chloe said, gripping the steering wheel, her tone firm. Don't be afraid, I'm here. I nodded, leaned back in the chair, and closed my eyes. A new life begins from this moment. In the days that followed, I lived at Chloe's house, nursing my injuries and starting to deal with the divorce. Ethan began his so-called salvage attempts. At first, it was an information bombardment. Dozens of messages a day, from apologies and confessions to recalling our sweet past, and accusing me of being heartless. I didn't reply to a single one, and directly set the messages to do not disturb. Then came the flowers. Every day, flowers were delivered downstairs to Chloe's house. All kinds of expensive varieties, with the signature on the card always being, "Your loving Ethan." Chloe always had the security guard throw them straight into the trash. Later, he started calling. I directly blacklisted his number. He would then call from different numbers, or pass messages through mutual friends, saying he knew he was wrong and begging me to give him another chance. The most ridiculous time was one night when it was pouring rain. Chloe was still at work and hadn't come home yet, and I was alone. The doorbell rang, and when I looked through the peephole, it was Ethan. He was soaking wet, standing in the rain, his hair plastered to his forehead in a mess, his eyes filled with a self-pitying heroism. "Ava, I know I was wrong. Please forgive me. Please open the door and let me in, Ava." He roared outside, trying to move me with this melodramatic scene. I just watched coldly, my heart completely unmoved. This performance was too clumsy and too late. If he had half of this deep affection, when I had my first miscarriage, or during the countless times he ignored me for Sophia, perhaps the ending would have been different. But now it's too late. I closed the peephole cover and turned up the TV volume, blocking out all the sounds from outside. No matter how he shouted in the rain, I remained unmoved. About half an hour later, the noise outside subsided. I looked through the peephole again. He was gone. Only a puddle of water remained on the ground, washed away cleanly by the rain along with his cheap affection. Once my body had recovered sufficiently, I made an appointment with a lawyer and drafted a divorce agreement. I didn't ask for much in terms of property division. I just wanted to end it all as soon as possible. The marital property would be split in half. The house would go to him, and he would need to pay me the corresponding discounted amount. As for the shares in his company, that was premarital property, and I didn't think about touching it. I just wanted to cut the Gordian knot and get rid of him completely. With the drafted divorce agreement in hand, I went to the hospital, not to find him, but for my own follow-up appointment. The doctor told me that the burn recovery was pretty good, but scarring was definitely going to happen. As for fertility, the Dr. Wanwan Weiwanda Bauscher discreetly indicated that the damage was severe. The possibility of natural pregnancy was very slim, and suggested that I consider assisted reproductive technology in the future. But the success rate could not be guaranteed. I calmly accepted this result. Perhaps this is also a kind of relief. Without children, I can leave with less to worry about. Just as I was about to leave the hospital, I unexpectedly ran into Ethan. He was in a hurry, as if he was going to visit someone. Ava. He saw me, a little surprised, then a smile appeared on his face. What a coincidence. You're here at the hospital too? Not feeling well somewhere? Follow-up. I said concisely. Oh, how is it? What did the doctor say? He feigned concern. I couldn't be bothered to answer. So I simply took out the divorce agreement from my bag and handed it to him. Sign it. The smile on Ethan's face froze. He looked at the document with a complex expression. Ava, do we really have to go this far? I know I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. Give me another chance. Let's start over, okay? He tried to grab my hand, but I dodged it. Ethan, stop acting. I looked at him. Do you think we can start over? After I lost 2 children because of you, and may never be able to have children again? After you left me alone in the parking lot, and let another woman move into my house? Do you think it's possible? My words were like knives, piercing through his hypocritical performance. His face turned ugly, and his eyes darted around. Those were all accidents. Sophia, Enough. I interrupted him. I don't want to hear that woman's name again. Are you going to sign or not? If you don't sign, then we'll see you in court. By then, the evidence of your cheating during the marriage, transferring assets, and intentional harm, I think, will be enough to ruin your reputation at Apex Global. I didn't really have evidence of him transferring assets, and the intentional harm might not be qualified as such, but it was enough to bluff him. Sure enough, Ethan's face instantly turned pale. He knew that if I really went to court, regardless of the outcome, his reputation and career would be greatly affected. The board of directors of Apex Global doesn't care how exciting his personal life is, only whether it will affect the company's image and interests. Ava, do you have to be so ruthless? There was a hint of tremor and pleading in his voice. You forced me to do this. I looked at him coldly. I'll give you 3 days to consider. If you don't sign in 3 days, my lawyer will file a lawsuit directly with the court. Having said that, I stopped looking at him and turned to leave. 3 days later, Ethan had not responded. I didn't hesitate and went directly to the Apex Global headquarters building. The grand glass curtain wall, the well-dressed white-collar workers. This was once the place where I thought I would work hard with Ethan. I didn't make an appointment. I walked directly to the front desk. I'm looking for Ethan. I'm his wife, Ava. The receptionist probably recognized me, or at least had heard of me, with a hint of inquiry and sympathy in her eyes, but she still dialed the internal line. A few minutes later, Ethan's secretary hurried downstairs. Madam, Mr. Ethan is in a meeting. Would you like to wait in the waiting room? The secretary tried to stop me. No, I'll just go to his office and wait for him. My tone was firm, brooking no refusal. The secretary looked embarrassed, but in the end, she didn't dare to stop me forcefully and took me upstairs. Ethan's office was large, luxuriously decorated, and had an excellent view. I sat on the sofa, placed the divorce agreement on the coffee table, and waited quietly. About half an hour later, Ethan pushed the door open and came in. When he saw me, his face immediately darkened. Ava, what are you doing here? Sign it. I pointed to the agreement on the coffee table. I told you I won't sign it. He walked over, his eyes filled with anger. Haven't you made enough trouble? Coming to the company to cause a scene. What do you want? I just want a divorce. I met his gaze calmly. Ethan, let's not waste each other's time. Divorce? Don't even think about it. He suddenly reached out, grabbed the divorce agreement, and tore it into pieces. The scraps of paper fluttered, like our completely shattered marriage. He gasped for breath, pointing at me. I'm telling you, Ava, this divorce, I will never agree to it. I looked at his hysterical appearance without any anger, but rather felt a little sad. I took out an identical divorce agreement from my bag. I guessed you would do this. I put the backup agreement in front of him. Ethan, this is the last one. Sign it and leave yourself some dignity. Ethan looked at the new agreement, then at my calm and unwavering face. The anger in his eyes gradually subsided, replaced by a deep sense of despair and powerlessness. He seemed to have been drained of all his strength, slumped back in the chair opposite me, and covered his face with his hands. The office was silent, with only his heavy breathing audible. After a long while, he raised his head and looked at me with hollow eyes, his voice hoarse. Once you sign, you really won't look back at all. Absolutely not, I replied decisively. He laughed miserably, picked up the pen, and tremblingly signed his name on the agreement. Ethan, that name, which had been traced countless times in my heart, now fell on the paper like a sign of the end. I put away the agreement and stood up. Thank you. Without extra words, I turned and left this suffocating office. The divorce procedures were completed quickly. We met at the City Hall's office for handling divorce matters. That day Ethan came alone. No, not alone. Sophia was with him. She was wearing a white dress, holding Ethan's arm, and looking at me with undisguised showiness and victory. Ethan looked very haggard, with dark circles under his eyes and unshaven stubble. He kept his head down the whole time, avoiding eye contact with me. The staff checked the information according to the procedure, asking us whether we confirmed our willingness to divorce. Yes, I answered crisply. When it was Ethan's turn, he hesitated. He looked up at me, his eyes filled with complex emotions, reluctance, regret, and a trace of lingering hope. Ethan, I interrupted him, my voice soft but with an undeniable strength. Sign it. Don't make me look down on you. These words seemed to pierce his last shred of pride. He closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and finally signed the document. When the staff stamped the document and handed us the divorce certificate, it was all over. Ethan and I were no longer related in any legal way. Stepping out of the city hall, the sunlight was a bit dazzling. Sophia immediately stepped forward and leaned affectionately on Ethan, as if declaring her ownership. Ethan let her lean on him, looking lost. I took out my phone and in front of them, blocked and deleted all of Ethan's contact information. Phone number, Instagram, WhatsApp, etc. I did it decisively and thoroughly. Ethan watched my movements, his lips moved as if he wanted to say something. But in the end, he didn't say anything. I didn't look at them again, and turned to walk to the other side of the street. Chloe's car was waiting for me there. After getting in the car, Chloe handed me a bottle of water. Is it over? Yeah, it's over. I unscrewed the cap, took a sip of water, and felt the dryness in my throat ease a little. The sky outside the window was very blue, and the sun was shining. Everything is over, and everything has just begun. 1 year later, I started a new life in a new city. Chloe moved with me too. I found a job I love and met a gentle and kind man, Mark. He doesn't care about my past, doesn't care that I may not be able to have children. He says he loves me for who I am. We got married, and the wedding was simple and warm. To my surprise, I became pregnant naturally shortly after the wedding. The doctor said it was a miracle, possibly a result of relaxation and proper physical conditioning. I stroked my slightly bulging belly, feeling the joy and hope brought by the new life, with a long-lost, heartfelt smile on my face. What about Ethan and Sophia? Occasionally, I hear snippets of news about them from my old circle of friends. It's said that they officially got together shortly after I left, and Sophia happily moved into that house with Mia, as she had wished. But their life doesn't seem to be as wonderful as Sophia imagined. Having lost me, the evil ex-wife, as a common enemy and a way to deflect conflicts, their own problems began to surface. Ethan's novelty and guilt towards Sophia gradually faded, and he began to miss his previous stable life and gradually lost patience with Sophia and her daughter. And Sophia, after finally getting everything she wanted, discovered that this man was not as perfect as she imagined, and that life was not all happiness from then on. I heard that they often quarrel over money, over Mia's education, over all sorts of trivial matters. Ethan's career was also somewhat affected by the previous divorce scandal, increasing his stress and making him increasingly irritable. The latest news is that during one particularly heated argument, Sophia, losing control of her emotions, accidentally knocked over a boiling pot of soup on the stove, and the hot soup splashed all over Ethan. Although not as severe as when I was scalded by hot oil, it still caused significant burns, and he stayed in the hospital for some time. The law of cause and effect, retribution is inevitable. When I heard the news, I didn't feel any schadenfreude. My heart was calm and without waves. Whether they are doing well or not has nothing to do with me anymore. My life has already turned a new page. Mark gently hugged me from behind, his chin resting on the top of my head. What are you thinking about? I turned around, hugged him back, and buried my face in his warm chest. I'm very happy now. The sunlight streamed in through the window, warm and bright. My happiness has only just begun.